speaker tonight is a career coach, an educator, a speaker, an author, and a founder of UXL. Her clients share a desire to develop leadership and management skills, learn how to achieve their goals, and help others grow. She taps into her extensive business experience as she addresses contemporary workplace challenges. Her recently published book, The 10-Minute Leadership Challenge, highlights 10 leadership behaviors that she experienced during her 30 years in business leadership positions. She's the adjunct professor at the Center for Sales Innovation at St. Catherine University, a member of the National Association of Professional Women, International Women Leaders, and is cited as a leading new entrepreneur in Cambridge. Who's Who, a nominee for the Women in Business Award, and from the Minnesota St. Paul. Let me start that over again. She is a nominee for the Women in Business Award from the Minneapolis St. Paul Business Journal and the Businesswoman of the Year for the Stillwater Chamber. Please welcome, a big warm welcome to Margaret B Smith, everyone.
Wow. This is great. I'm so glad to see so many people here this evening. And it took a lot of courage for you to walk into this room, especially if you've never been to the Women's Club, if you've never been to an AGC event before, and you didn't know anybody that you were going to, that potentially could be here. And so it takes a lot of courage to walk into a room of complete strangers. So I give you a lot of credit for having the courage to be here tonight. I'm going to dig into courage in the short period of time we have today. But I wanted to share with you, these are the chapters in my book. And what really inspired me to write the 10-Minute Leadership Challenge was that I read a lot of leadership books that put me to sleep in 10 minutes. And so I thought if I can just give people a little nugget of 10 characteristics of leaders that truly inspired me and helped me be my very best, or traits that I felt I had when I was trying to inspire and motivate the people that worked for me, if I could capture them in 10 minutes. I've timed myself in reading this. Some take 9, some take 11. So you have to just give me a little bit of a grace period there. But each chapter just digs a little bit deeper into one of those 10 characteristics of leadership that I feel are really important that we demonstrate in order to truly motivate and inspire our teams today. I'm going to focus on courage, which is the second chapter in the book, because every time that I make a presentation or lead a workshop on the 10-Minute Leadership Challenge, courage seems to be the chapter that most people want me to spend a lot of time on. So tonight, we're going to focus just on courage. Sorry that it kind of goes into the AGC logo there a little bit, but it does take a lot of courage to step into a room of strangers, of people that you've never met before. It also takes a lot of courage to leap, to take that leap. I've learned that courage and learning actually are highly connected, right? There are lots of different words that come to mind when you think of courage, and I like to start with the definition. And you can see all those different words: pluckiness, valor, fearlessness, intrepidity, nerve, daring, audacity, boldness, hardihood, heroism, gallantry, and I'm sure that there's a lot of other words that jumped into your head when you heard of courage. But there really is an overlap between courage and learning. When you think of a time when you were learning the most, it was a time when you were right on the very edge, kind of like where I am right now. You don't want to get pushed off that edge because it could be painful if that happened. It could be beyond your level of competency. It could be in a space that's not your sweet spot. You could feel like you're that round or that square peg in a round hole. But when we're right on that very edge, we've been given a new challenge. We've been given something that we haven't been able to do before, that someone has faith in us, believes in us, and we've said yes to that new challenge. And then the edge, as we learn, as we get better at it, the edge gets farther away, right? And we need to step just a little bit further and closer to that edge for us to continue the learning process. So that's where I've seen courage and learning overlap quite a bit. Sometimes we would really love to have a sneak peek of what is ahead. If we're ready to say yes, if we're ready to take on a new challenge, if we're given increased roles and responsibilities, if we're going to go on a new adventure, it's really nice to know of somebody who's done it before. So think about what resources you have around you that have paved the way, that you can get maybe a little bit of advice Perhaps their perspective on what they wish they would have done differently, what they wish they would have said yes to, and perhaps what they wish they would have said no to at the same time. It takes courage to say yes, and sometimes it takes even more courage to say no. So think about how you help other people pave the way. When do you step in to blaze a new trail for someone else? And when has someone helped you blaze a new trail? It takes a lot of courage to step into that space. Sometimes we need a nudge. Sometimes we need that nudge from someone else. Sometimes we need to give ourselves the little nudge. And so it goes both ways. Someone is nudging you to try something different. You also need, as a leader, to nudge someone else that you truly believe needs to show up in a new space, needs to be challenged in a new way. And it can also show them how much you believe in their capabilities and their competencies and how valuable they are to the organization. We feel the same way when someone has come to us and said, we would really like for you to try this. We're really interested in your perspective on X. We'd like you to lead this team that is focused on a whole new area. We'd like you to try something new and different. We'd like your perspective on how to solve this problem. Whenever we're pulled in to a situation like that and given that little nudge, or maybe it's a lasso, whenever we've been in that situation, it's made us feel really valuable. So when are you giving someone else that same nudge? Because it does help to make them feel really valuable and an asset to the organization. It's always at a time that we're maybe put in a situation where we haven't done something ever before. And that's when we need that nudge to know that we're given that encouragement to move forward. So I'd like you to think of 3 situations where you think courage can be extremely helpful or valuable, and just shout some out.
Sales.
Sales. What about sales?
Closing the deal.
Closing the deal. Asking for the order. Oh my gosh. That can be really tough. What?
Walking in the door.
Walking in the door of a place you've never been before.
Dating.
Dating. Oh, that's scary. That's not courage. It's been a long time since I've had to do that, so that's why I said that.
Admitting you're wrong and cleaning it up.
Oh, admitting you're wrong and cleaning it up. Yeah.
New career choice.
A new career choice. That's one that takes a lot of courage to leave something behind and start something new.
Having no safety net for your future.
Having no safety net for your future. Oh, tell me more about that.
That would be starting a whole new company.
Oh, starting a whole new company. So you're leaving something big behind, or maybe not, but something behind, and starting something that you have absolutely no idea how it's going to go. Great.
Senior parents.
Oh, senior parents? Not seeing your parents, but but senior parents. Yes, I'm at that place too. I have a senior parent, and I'm having to deal with that 1,000 miles away, and it can be really, really challenging. Okay, here are a few that I've thought of that are many of what you just said. Sometimes we need courage just to ask questions, right? Because sometimes we believe that asking a question and gaining more clarity around something or a deeper understanding may be an indication that we just don't get it. And maybe we're not smart enough. But actually, someone told me once, and I know it's somebody famous that quoted this, so it isn't me, but somebody told me this: you're remembered more for the questions you ask than the answers you give. And so when you think about a question that you could be asking that opens up people's minds to a whole new perspective, that gets them thinking about something in a different way, that challenges the status quo in a positive way. You don't want to throw somebody under the bus. You don't want to ask a question that makes someone feel embarrassed. But maybe you need more information in order for you to help out. And even just saying, how can I help? That's a question, and it's really powerful. So we need courage just to step into that space of asking questions. Another one is to defend your values. If there's something that you really strongly believe in, you need to walk your talk. You need to defend the things that are most important to you. And also, I like to look at this, and if someone in your organization or your company is asking you to do something that you feel may not really be in the best interest of the company, go back and look at the corporate values, because they can be your best defense. Another one is to have tough conversations. This is one that comes up every time that I'm doing one-on-one coaching with the leader. How do I approach this person who is underperforming, or that I have always felt could do more than they are, or is just not showing up? Having those tough conversations, and there's lots of good tools out there, so search for the right tool that you feel comfortable with. Maybe your organization even has some, or there's someone that you know that does this really well. And I think that having tough conversations with people that are your peers is challenging. Subordinates, maybe that's what they're expecting from you. But how do you have a tough conversation with your supervisor? That can be really, really challenging and takes a lot of courage. Another one is to take a risk. It's an appropriate risk. It could be a new adventure, it could be fun. It also could be something that is saying yes to new responsibilities, new challenges, and new things that are offered to you, to gain clarity. I know that there are many times that something was handed to me, a new project, a new idea that they wanted me to explore. And I just on blind faith said, sure, I can do that. And then I went back to my office and said, exactly what the heck did I sign up for? I should have asked a lot more questions. And so I went off doing what I thought was appropriate, and I went this direction, and perhaps the person who had assigned me this was expecting something over here. And so I needed to make sure that I was asking all the right questions to gain clarity so that we were in full alignment. So making sure that we're gaining clarity can break down that wall of courage and make it a lot easier for us to move forward. To include everyone. Inclusionary behavior, making sure all the voices are heard around the table, gives you the best perspectives on problem solving, idea generation, visionary thinking. So it takes a lot of courage, though, to not be the one who talks the most in the room and allow other people to be heard. And then to make change. You mentioned change, moving into a new job. You mentioned starting your own business. And there were other changes that people pointed out here. Change is not easy. Change is something that we all try to avoid. Would rather not rock the boat. But change can actually be energizing and give us a whole new perspective on how good we can be at something. You got this as a handout, your courage assessment. I encourage you to do this in your own time. And so the next two things I'm going to share with you are some tools that I'm going to leave with you for you to explore the whole idea of courage from your perspective and what's most important to you. So there are 10 questions you can ask yourself, looking at, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to defend someone whose ideas are not being heard? And I won't go down all 10 of those, but score yourself 1 to 10 and then plot it on that wheel. And then you have this courage tip sheet. Align the items on the courage tip sheet to the elements of courage that are pointed out in those 10 questions that I ask you. Align the tips that are on there to action that you can take to be more courageous, to show up with the spine that you have, to step into a space that maybe makes your knees knock or do something that sends you off on a new adventure. And what I suggest is that sometimes you see 10 things and you think, oh, I need to do 10 things. I need to fix everything. And we really can't. So I suggest that you just pick 3, maybe even just 2, that you think are going to make the biggest difference to you, that will stretch and challenge you in a new way. Take those tips and apply them to the things that were pointed out on that little assessment wheel that I gave you. Then think about, what will I really do? What will it take for me to do this? What are the barriers? What might be holding me back from taking that step? What resources do I need? Who do I need to ask? Who's an expert? Who have I seen do this before that I might be able to tap into and get some additional advice from? You need to really focus on what's it going to take to get that done. Gather some friends around you that can be the resources that you need to help you break through that wall. Lay out your plan of how you're going to get from here to that end zone that you see for yourself. And then when you've gotten there, make sure that you celebrate. Celebrating your success and your ability to break through that wall of courage is really important, because sometimes we don't do that enough to really celebrate that we've accomplished something. And then go back, and I love this quote by Christopher Robin. Promise me you'll always remember you are braver than you believe and stronger than you seem and smarter than you think. And it really is true. We are our own worst enemy in many ways, listening to the saboteur that's on our shoulder, telling us all those things that we can't do. Listen to the other shoulder that's giving you the encouragement and the support and the little nudge that you need to step into that courageous space. So, do you have 10 minutes? That's all it takes to focus on courage, to do that assessment, to understand what you need in order to feel more courageous and to show up as the brave person that you truly are. Thank you.